The moon is not in any real hardship to malefic planets. So use your imagination on this moon. I am going to vision board and collage on this moon. I'm going to do that because Neptune is in a broad square with sobering and realistic Saturn. Every new beginning, every new moon, every fresh start really fills itself out over 6 months. We need to see the unfoldment over time.
Lunatic astrology.
Have you guys ever wondered if only one conversation or one memory or one person from your past can completely redirect your future? Well, our Cancer new moon on July the 14th is not another lunation. It's actually one of the more spiritually potent reset points of 2026. And that's primarily because it's hooked up to a Mercury retrograde. It's in a connection as well to a potent Sabian symbol about making your soul dreams come true. And it'll open up a 6-month window in which unfinished stories may come back into your life. And in this regard, you can also look at how the past will propel you forward in the next 6 months from this mid-July lunation. Welcome to my channel. This is Lori Lothian of Lunatic Astrology, and I'm so glad you're here. And to all of you who have come from Amrit Sandhu's crowd over at Inspired Evolution, I'm so glad you're here, and I'm hoping you're enjoying the channel. In the video that's following this intro recording, you're probably noticing some weird lispy sounds. We've been having some trouble hooking up my Shure mic to the Riverside app, and so we're in the process of learning how to fix these problems. So please be patient. I do not have a lisp. I do not have dental problems, and I'm not ill. It is literally just a tech issue. So thank you for your patience, and let's get started in our video today. I love the Sabian symbol on this new moon so very much. It can open us up to the deepest soul dreams that we are capable of dreaming into being. It can also bring with us a kind of desire for transcendent happiness, the happiness that comes from a place that's not circumstantially dependent. You could call that causeless joy. This moon is also right beside Mercury, who is currently retrograde in the sign of Cancer. Typically, when a moon is hooked up to a retrograde planet, things from the past become present. So I'll expect all of us to experience stories from our past coming through this lunation on the 14th. We're going to dive into what those past stories are and what they might be for your sign today, but also how you might be able to dream a bigger dream, a truer dream, and find some kind of joyful contentment in life from this lunation. It's very spiritually empowered as a lunation. It's also conjunct stars that we consider to be very fortunate. So we'll talk about Castor and Pollux as well as Procyon. So we have a potent piece of sky. We have a transcendent and beautiful Sabian symbol we're going to talk about. We have the retrograde Mercury right beside it. What I like most about this moon is after hooking up with retrograde Mercury and going into the heart of the sun, the moon comes out the other side and hooks up right away with Jupiter. Jupiter's fairy godfather. He's visible in the sky. He's unencumbered by any problems like the South Node as of this point. So we're going to see some fairy godfather vibe or godmother, take your pick, after this lunation unfolds. Let's get going. Let's talk about your sign. And welcome to the channel if you are new. My name is Lori Lothian, and I am definitely using Western tropical astrology. This is not sidereal or Vedic astrology today. When you listen today for your sun, moon, and rising, we'll have just before that portion a little how to listen for that insert so you can understand the difference between those three and why you would listen to one or the other. Now, you might want to cast your chart in whole sign houses, the ancient house system, which I'm always using on my channel. Well, and so are all astrologers on YouTube, acting as if that you are using a whole sign concept. And that is the ancient house tradition anyway, and it does actually work very, very well. So when we talk about your chart, don't look at your Placidus and get confused. When I say you're an Aries rising, yes, Capricorn is your whole sign house in your 10th house. Okay, so welcome. Let's get going. I'm excited by this moon. I really can't wait to talk about it with you. I want to make some broad statements about the world right now and about life in general. And then we'll move into your story. Number one thing about this is that we have Jupiter now moved into Leo, and he is entirely visible. And why that's important is he's going to go invisible shortly. Sometime after mid-July in most places in the world, just after this moon kicks into gear, he begins to become extremely difficult to see. And by the time we get to about the 26th, 27th of the month, he's already dark. He's gone underground. He's completely cloaked by the beams of the sun. So from our eyeball perspective, he's invisible, even though he's quite the bright little ball of light, right? And as he goes into the heart of the sun and rebirths himself, we're going to find that by the time he's visible again, and his conjunction with the sun, I believe, memory serves me, is the 30th of July or the 1st of August, he comes out the other side of that solar conjunction, which is a very positive energy. And he takes about a week or two to become entirely visible again. So when we see him still in range of visibility, not easy to see, but still visible in our sky during the lunation itself, I like that. I like that he's in good shape. I like that we can see him. I also understand his age. He's old. He's tired. He's like Santa Claus with a cane, or he's like the guru with a stiff walk. And that's because he's been going through the zodiac for an entire 12 months. And he's coming to the end of a cycle called a synodic cycle. He's going to join with the sun. He's going to die in the heart of the sun. He's going to get divine headquarters missions instructions for his next 12 months. And this is all happening in Leo. So there's a lot of energy here. I'm trying to get very Leonine. I'm wearing yellow. I'm trying to be lion-y, okay, as we have Jupiter here for one whole year. So I'll be bringing in how the lunation then moves right away out of the lunation moves right away out of the area of the sky where it is conjunct the sun at 21 degrees of Cancer, and it moves right away into Leo and moves right into that arms of a Jupiter energy. So there's something blessed, something exciting here. I hope you're feeling my vibe as I experience this for myself in anticipation. The moon is not in any real hardship to malefic planets. It's in a very, very wide conjunction. I mean, a very, very wide square to Lord Saturn, who's sitting in the sign of Cancer. So yes, we have a little bit of that, but it's sort of behind the moon. The moon's already squared Saturn, done it up, and is moving on. So the moon itself is not so impacted by what's already behind it. It's almost like a blessed relief is coming after a time of squishy emotional intensity and hardship for each of us as well, as he moved through the sign, as the moon moved through the sign of Cancer and left behind that crunchy feel. So that crunchy lunation squaring Saturn is going to be felt mostly like the day before the actual new moon. So it's behind the moon in essence. So the 13th might feel a little crunchy for all of us on the emotional front. Anything else I want to say? I sure do. I'm teaching Sky Reader this year. It is my favorite course to teach. I've been teaching it for seven seasons. We're going to be teaching in September. It's to read your own sky read your natal sky, become your own astrologer, not for other people, just for reading your chart, and time your best life. And if you want to learn how to do that with me, there is until the end of July a deep discount of 40% off that course. That price won't come back in August. I promise you that. So you want to get in early, do so. In the description box below is a link for you so that you can see all about what's the course curriculum entails. Yes, there's Q&As. I've assistant teachers helping me. We have a Discord and a Facebook group this year for your meeting other students. This is not to certify you in astrology. This is to have fun learning the art of reading your own natal chart and then applying that to two very precise and easy timing tools that I'll be teaching on the last two classes. Woo! And we have guest teachers and more. Go see in below. You might check it out. All right, guys, let's get rolling. Some of you, thank you so much. I appreciate for all your kind feedback. I'm so grateful that you guys, some of my fans flooded over to Amrit Sandhu's wonderful inspired evolution podcast show. He's I've been a fan of his for years. And I put a little wish list together about end of 24 of whose channels I wanted to be on. And I had him at the very top of my list. And he's an amazing soul. And we had so much fun. That video came out on July the 5th. And if you haven't had a chance to see it, Amrit Sandhu and I chatting up deep stories, CERN, cosmic fate and free will matters, and everything you can ever think about, especially focused on the month of July. Go check it out. Good news, he's coming on my channel in August. We're taping August 11th, and you'll be seeing him on my channel as well. So in the description box below is a link to my conversation with Amrit. Go check it out. I think you might enjoy it. All right, so come to Sky Reader. I can't wait to see you there. World events. Right now we'll have, as the moon is approaching, right, we're going to have Jupiter hovering and hanging around with Hygeia, the goddess of health issues, in the sign of Leo. It just means that certain Leo risings may encounter health challenges. That would be J.D. Vance, Donald Trump, Tulsi Gabbard, maybe Erica Kirk, and what's her name? Tulsi Gabbard. Yeah, I said her because I've rectified them to Leo risings. And Madonna, she's a Leo. And maybe Pope Leo has a strong Leo placement in his chart, and on we go, King Charles. So these people may be announcing health challenges coming off the middle of the month when this moon is happening, and in the couple of weeks that follow. That would not surprise me at all. So that's kind of some world stories as well. I had predicted the possibility of some kind of untoward violent event on July the 4th in the United States based on the Mars conjunction in the Sibley chart. A lot of people were angry at me for that. There was a Coney Island mass pow event that happened on July the 4th. So that did occur. I'm not glad that's what happened. I'm glad it wasn't a larger calamitous and more horrific event. And that's what I have for you. I'm going to be putting more of the world astrology in my members only section from now on. It's just really not always where my channel thrives when it comes to the most of you listening, but we'll have world events as I feel compelled to talk about it. The only people that are really strongly activated by this that I think are famous and worth your attention, this Cancer new beginning, are Elon Musk. He's a Cancer rising, and this moon might really impact him, and in probably a positive way as the moon goes into Jupiter. He's already on paper trillionaire for his SpaceX IPO. But there are other ways that he'll come into more power. And Jupiter kind of rules politics in general, right? If you think about leaders and world leaders, you're going to think solar energy and you're going to think Jupiter energy. So possible Elon will get a little bit more political in the 6 months that follow the moon. Every new beginning, every new moon, every fresh start really fills itself out over 6 months. We need to see the unfoldment over time, but look for Elon Musk announcements on the new moon a day or two before, mostly, or 3 or 4 or 5 days after. You might see that playing out, and it'll be about Jupiter things. He might endorse a politician or something like that. I mean, it seems crazy that he would do that right now, but who knows? The other thing to pay attention to is any nations with strong placements in Cancer that are like really at the angles, which is houses 1, 4, 7, and 10. Then the little blue and white flag nation in the Middle East that's at war with everyone all of the time has a actual 10th house placement for its Cancer sky. So as a Libra rising, Cancer is the whole sign 10th house of the executive branch and people in power, their leadership, their power party, their prime minister, all of that. So there's some problems there maybe because there's a new moon, new beginning. And although this is not a debilitated moon, it's broadly square Saturn in Cancer. Saturn in Cancer is sitting on the sun of Iran right now, more or less. And getting ready to retrograde closer back to the sun of Iran, which represents its Ayatollah, the Khomeini kind of vibe, 9th house sun. And so there's some stories unfolding the next 6 months that pits, of course, the leadership of Iran against the leadership of, and this makes for a difficult circumstance for either party. And this moon is therefore connected to that particular conflict. All right, so that's what I've got. We're not going to cover much more of that. On Mondays, I put out world events these days, and I talk a bit about it at the beginning, and I talk a lot in the members only section at the end. So consider for a mere, I don't know, $4 US or something, joining my members only community here. I'd love to see you, and we'll be doing more live streams on my members only as well. I haven't gotten around to that yet, but I'm just about to start that next month. All righty, guys, I'm excited to do this moon because the life of the sky is not always what I consider positive. This is a positive sky. You might notice I'm bobbled up, right? I am a junkie for Otter spirit jewelry, and I cannot believe that this is my favorite because it's not even astrological. These are like Gemini mixes and stuff like that. These are natural gemstones, and this is tiger's eye, aquamarine, and a leopard something. And I just love this stuff. So you can get discounts on my channel for this stuff. They have a beautiful selection of astrologically curated jewelry and other things, pendants. And this is for Reiki. This is the Reiki trio. I mean, you can't make this up because my sister does Reiki, but you wear it and you kind of feel Reiki'd out. And the keywords for this one, because there's little cards here, right? I hope I've been looking at my camera, not at my screen. It's I stay strong through life's changes. And that would be good for Scorpio, Aries, Cap, and Virgo. And it's the root chakra. And turquoise. These guys come in little cute boxes. You get 30% off any of your purchase there if you buy more than $100, and 20% off if you buy less. These guys are fantastic. I don't get swept away by inner storms, says turquoise. It's healing and wisdom, and it's good for Aquarius, Pisces, Sagittarius, and it's good for that throat chakra. And tiger eye, I am a warrior, and it's solar plexus and root and sacral, and it's strength and protection. And Leo, Cap, Gemini, and Scorpio can benefit from that particular stone. Go ahead, check out a spirit out. I'm not going to share their website with you. I don't think. Just It's otterspirit.com, and everything about them is in my description box. All right. Now, let's talk one more thing before I show you the sky. I happened to go to a sale, like an estate sale at of astrological books. I didn't know they were estates till I started going through it. Somebody must have passed away who had books that go back to the 70s, the 60s, the 50s, even the turn of the century. And this is like an original Random House Dane Ruger astrological mandala book, 360 symbols. I think it's from the 60s. It's usually sitting up here so I can reach for it at any time. Now, I love the Sabian symbols. I'm not an expert, but I use them a lot in my own life, in my chart, like my moon is on the crystal ball gazer or something like that. Yeah, and I try to tell the future. This is 1973, and I think it's an original edition because I don't see like other editions below it, and it's Random House. And so what Dane Rujar on the Sabian symbols, 360 channel degrees around the zodiac, says about the moon and 21 degrees of Cancer, round up to 22 for the Sabian. What he says about it is absolutely beautiful. So I want to share that with you. He says simply that this is a young woman awaiting a sailboat. Now, that's the Sabian symbol, channeled by Elsie Wheeler. That's what it is. But his interpretation of the Sabian symbol is intriguing. He says it is a longing for transcendent happiness in the soul that is open to great dreams. Now, that's what I touched on in the beginning. Where do we have happiness that doesn't come from the Ferrari or, or the glitter of life or just a temporary spark of something good, like winning an award? Where does causeless joy come from? And nothing like a Cancer lunation to bring that to mind. The world chart, the thema mundi, the ancient chart of the birth of the world is a Cancer rising. And the womb and the mother archetype and the nurturing of Cancer is very much about almost like a beautiful feminine, divine feminine energy. And so the moon is asking us to tap into that. And I know I very rarely read stuff on my channel, you guys, you know that, right? But I need to read this because it's too juicy. So he talks about this as imaginable and an imaginative, youthful person. No, I don't have dentures. People said, do I have a list? Do I have dentures? Do I have any dental problems? I've been trying so hard to get this audio to work on Riverside and to get the sound to normalize in the compression, etc. And I'm thinking I'm going to try raw audio files for my editor. None of this is Lori with a teeth problem, health problem, voice problem. This is tech problems. Okay. So it says an imaginative, youthful person, young, who cannot be satisfied with the ordinary social environment and who is looking for or a longing for the unknown visitation of which that young person has dreamed. Like, what is going to bring that wonder and awe to your life? And from the unconscious beyond, the concretization of spiritual image, spiritual because it's pneuma or spirit, sailboats use wind, right? Is hope for and expected. The beloved may come not in a glittering opera house, but in the silence of the inner sea of consciousness. So the big question is, will the dream become concrete? Will the emotion ready to well up in response to the advent have a chance? Will the expectancy of the eternal feminine be rewarded with a reality? Now, to me, the eternal feminine is very much the Empress in the Tarot and the Major Arcana. She's the realm of that which we dream into being from the dream time, from the deep imaginal realms of our mind, and we're losing touch with that. I don't want to lecture you, but Neptune is about your imagination. It lays the tracks for the reality train to follow, which is Saturn. And in a lot of ways, because we watch so much stuff online that doesn't give us a chance to breathe in our imagination, we're always watching someone else's imagination, someone else's glamour, somebody else's video, somebody else's movie, somebody's translation of the book into a movie. Come on, guys, if you read a book, you have to imagine the characters in your own mind. So I'm encouraging, do a vision board, do some creativity, imagine a project, but get that imagination working because it's your God-given manifestation gift, and it is a part of divine feminine. Empress energy is the precursor to reality, the Emperor. It is the imaginal realm that gives birth to what is real and concrete and tangible. It's literally what you want in life, is to imagine into being that which you truly desire. So I've done that for years as a manifester, and it really requires an imagination that has not been atrophied, that is still robust and muscular. So use your imagination on this moon. I am going to vision board and collage on this moon. I'm going to do that because Neptune is in a broad square with sobering and realistic Saturn. The imagination and the reality track, guys, are together in Aries, broadly squaring this lunation. I can tap those powers from Aries and use them. Why not? Why not? Okay. All right. Now, If you haven't liked and subscribed yet, if you're bored already, that's okay. I get it. Sometimes I talk a bit. But if you like my content, the way I produce content, the way I try to share it with a little bit of spiritual wisdom, then please hit that like button. Please consider subscribing. Please comment. Please hype. You know the drill. It does support the growth of the channel. And I am trying to continue this as a long-term career. And sometimes content creation is a burnout. So if the channel subs are growing really slowly, I can feel demotivated. So, it's just normal, right? So your tips by the clicks of your finger are the motivational perks of being a part of this world with you. And I'm going to give you some guidance for this lunation. Now, you go into your own inner knowing. This is general bell curve astrology. Not every Aries will win the lottery. Not every, Virgo will have an upset with their spouse or whatever I'm making up. It's going to be true for a percentage of you, and then the rest of you, it will not. And at the very end, I think I'm putting a nice spiritual outro. I want to talk about Mercury, the magician, close to Earth, some of the synchronicities that have happened to me and what you might expect as well, because Mercury is still retrograde, bless his soul, until the third week of July. So we will see more magic, synchronicity, and unreasonably awesome unexpected things that come out of the blue from our past, which this moon is baking in. All right, so let's get started. What I'm doing next is I'm going to share the screen and you'll be able to see the wheel of astrology. So here's the sky, and I'm going to move us into Aries in a minute. Just before we do, I might make a couple statements about the sky. Salacia on Saturn means that some gossipy, salacious, shocking news stories, including CD ones, could break out around this lunation with Salacia and Saturn in Aries about Aryan people, places, and things, countries as well. We're also going to notice that we have down here, Venus with asteroid America in the south node. She's off July 9th onward for about 3.5 weeks, so early August, the 7th. She's in bad shape. Not good for Virgo people, places, and things. One of the most famous Virgos in the world is the fearless leader of the little blue and white flag nation in the United States. His name starts with a B, and he might have some significant loss of power here, if not health challenges, coming off this lunation. You'll also notice that, as I said, there's Mercury retrograde and there's the new moon, and it's going to bump right away after this into Jupiter. And just behind the new moon, it was squaring Saturn. Just behind the new moon, it was hooking up with Mercury. So a lot there about the way the moon's been interpreting reality before the reset button. And over here, we can see that Mars is with Atlantis. Get ready for some stories about Atlantis to pop up. I don't mean it could be. Things that are x-rayed under the Giza Plateau by the Italian scientists coming into the news cycle, maybe, that shock and surprise us, something to do with ancient civilization. But also we have Artemis, who shoots bows and arrows, the female huntress with her 2 hunting dogs. Well, we may find some arrows flying here with shock and awe. There may be some unexpected difficulty with devices that fly through the air that can explode, if you know what I mean. There are like an arrow, whatever, some kind of stories, but the actual moon isn't paying attention to it. It's nothing to do with the moon. It's just co-present with the sky at the very same time. And, Uranus is bending the nose of fate. Uranus is in the mini trine that's going to be a part of Barbo's basket that you can see forming here. I'll put another video out just on Barbo's basket. But I kind of get a sense here that this is an unexpected, explosive event that came from the Mars-Uranus conjunction on July the 4th. And yes, this is the 14th, but Mars is still co-present with Uranus, right? And that co-presence of Mars and Uranus doesn't end until August the 11th. So we still have these explosive energies here. And for the United States, as a Sag rising, that's its house of hidden enemies. Okay. We're moving on. I didn't mean to put that in here, so ignore this baby. But if you're curious, that's the Sphinx itself. So because the Sphinx is kind of leaning in to moving into Gemini, there may be those shocking surprises after this moon about things to do with lost civilizations under the water, under the earth, under the plateau, under the Giza Plateau. Sphinx and Atlantis. This is Atlantis coming together. I hope I said Atlantis. This is the Sphinx. This is Atlantis. Yeah, we have that lost civilization archetype. How do you listen for your sun, moon, and rising sign? People ask me all of the time. Let me explain it to you very briefly. When you were born, you were a spirit and you entered into the zone of matter, and you are playing here, hopefully, and having somewhat of a good time. And that's your sun energy. Your sun is your divine spark. It is your spiritual essence. It comes here from beyond space and time. It's ostensibly lived many different lives. And this aspect of you, this eternal nature, is one of the flavors of God or the divine or the creator or source. And you think about the 12 signs and the 12 sun signs. we have elements, earth, air, water, and fire. And we have modalities, fixed, cardinal, and mutable. You have a quality of the divine. You are an article of the universe, a tiny little spark of what is the one thing. And so when you think about your sun sign and you listen for that in astrology, you're thinking about your purpose for being incarnated. It often aligns you with career, aligns you with a sense of meaning. Your sun has to come into reality in a form called a body. That is your ascendant. Your ascendant is your character in the simulation of life. You could think of the sun as the movie actor. And you can think of the role in the movie that the actor is playing as your ascendant. So think about how your solar light infuses the character you're here to become and play. And that character is often cemented into being in the first 7 years of life. It's how you look, it's your personality traits and characteristics, it's how people respond to you, it's your mask and persona, and it's the vehicle for your spirit to play. And in many ways, it could be called a spacesuit. But I think this is a simulation. This ain't based reality. So in the simulation of life, like in the movie The Matrix, Neo is playing a character who works in an office in an unreal environment. And so your real self is somewhere else, but is playing this game. Now, when you think about your ascendant, you're going to notice that it's also very circumstantially accurate in terms of predictive value. That's because it's the beginning of the chart. It exists in the first house. It is what we call the helmsman energy, the steering wheel of your life. And often this part of the chart is going to be very sensitive to planetary transits and Time Lord tools. So you'll find it to listen in astrology for your ascendant or your rising sign is useful. To cast your chart in whole sign houses, you look below and get my free video tutorial. And you'll need to know a birth time in order to find your ascendant. Now, when you're listening for your moon sign is how you feel and how you think about your life. I think I think my partner's mean and not nice to me, and I feel really in love with my child or something. So your feelings are right here in the solar plexus. Your thinkings are up here, and that thinking feeling complex can be condensed into the word your mind. Your moon is your mind. It means many other things because the sun can represent dad, father figures, and moon, mother and mother figures, but it's also your response to life, your subjective well-being, half full, half empty cup. Your moon is how you emotionally respond and think and respond, because every feeling is connected by a thought, and every thought has a feeling. Trust me on that one. So you listen to the moon sign when you want to hear how you respond to life in that emotional mental capacity. And it will often connect to matters of home. I always joke, every time a moon is eclipsed in my chart, my Aries moon, I always have a move within months. In fact, I just moved to a new place that you're seeing here from the March eclipse of my moon. So ultimately speaking, your moon is sensitive to domicile and where you live as well. So hopefully that helps you listen for all three. When we do the moon and sun, we just rotate the chart to the first house. So if you have an Aries moon like I do, we just spin the wheel. So we're as if Aries is an ascendant, but we talk about it as if it's an ascendant, and we call it your moon in Aries and derived houses. Same with the sun. We rotate the sun to the ascendant. All right. Whew, hopefully that makes sense to you guys, and go ahead and enjoy the rest of the video where I do the all signs portion. Now that you know what you're listening for, at least you'll know what to expect. Now we're starting with Aries. Aries on the 14th of July, sun, moon, and rising. Aries on the 14th of July, there is a new beginning where you can dream into being something from the depths of your soul, and using that high-powered imagination and deep feminine interior Shakti energy. And the moon is opening up the dream that you wish to create in the wake of the moon in your fourth house. It is connected to your home, where you live, what you do in and from the home, whom you live with. It is connected to your mother and your childhood as well. I wonder how many of you will use a moon like this with Mercury retrograde to get back in touch with your inner child and people from your childhood. You know what I mean? Like maybe the boy next door, maybe siblings you grew up with, because there's a potential for the past to return. So I would expect the moon to open a door where all of a sudden some long ago people from your childhood are back in your story, and probably they'll reach out with Mercury, an email, a phone call, or a text message. Now, Mercury's been retrograde here since the end of June, actually. So on June 29th, and he doesn't complete the retrograde till July 23rd. That still gives you a whole swath of time where the past is returning to you. I'm an Aries sun, and a woman I was friends with years ago we reached out accidentally to each other yesterday on WhatsApp. So I am seeing the return of people from my past already. But this is specifically your childhood and the growing up experience and the people with whom you grew up. Or if you were estranged from your mother, could be the house of the mother. That's how I use it in Vedic tradition. And it could bring your mother back to you if she has been out of touch in some way. Because this is a moon that's also deeply awakened energy with that Sabian symbol, there's a potential of the feminine, creative, imaginative part of you that wants to open up a door of possibility. And fairy godfather Jupiter is waiting for that moon to come into his arms right after this lunation, literally within hours. So what is the fifth house? It is the house of good fortune. It is a house where we can win money. It's a house where we can gamble and speculate and win, but it's also the house where we find our joy of life, our satisfaction, our enthusiasm, our inspiration for being here on planet Earth. I jokingly say it's the why you get out of bed in the morning part of the chart. And this vital energy, this vitality here is being opened up as Jupiter embraces this moon. So there's two stories in one moon. And I think that this is going to open up a lot of Aries towards either, fertility, pregnancy, or children or childbirth. Like my Aries son daughter-in-law will be having a baby probably around this time. But it can also open you up to your artistic, creative, and inspired muse, your inner performer, and the part of you that has natural talents and gifts that you are here to express. Nobody's going to stop you. You are here to use the God-given gifts and talents you were born with, and this is going to open up probably not just play and enjoyment and pleasure, but more likely prosperity through the mechanism of inspiration and joy and pleasure of doing something that you're naturally good at. So you might just have the joy of being a parent. Jupiter here rules children, and you may find some joy connected to things that are happening in the life of your children, opening up as soon as this moon happens in the hours after and into the 6 months that follow. Finally, if you're an entrepreneur or artistic, creative type individual, then this is a moon that asks you to tap the depths of your spiritual life from your childhood, your ancestral line, and your natural ancestral gifts. If you were born like always able to sing or play a musical instrument or write or dance or act, when you're born with a natural scientific mind, those are genetic parts of the story, and those want to express in abundant, growing, flourishing, and prosperous ways. If you haven't created an entrepreneurial business, I bet you some of you will. I bet you this moon will get some of you going, I need to start my own business. I'm going to create my own, my hobby becomes my prosperous livelihood, would be another code for the Aries folk in this particular story. Hopefully that gets you ready for this gorgeous lunation, and that you're going to harness that in the 6 months that follow. Now, Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. This is the energy of a big, beautiful, spiritually opening energy. This moon is opening up the potential part of you that has the deepest soul dreams that you wish to bring into the material realm. And those dreams are coming off of your third house. And if you're a Taurus, they may be dreams and desires and imaginal realm fantasies that you want to bring into being, to connecting to your third house of siblings, the neighbors and neighborhood, including the town or village you live in, and also connected to energies of writing, communicating, skills-based learning, teaching, both, and even matters to do with marketing and selling at times. Just how you use your hands as well and your arms. So often we have to type. We use our arms and hands for skills-based things we do, right? Sculpture, pottery, sewing. And so anything like that wants to blossom anew and have a fresh beginning. And with Mercury retrograde here, this moon could also draw to your attention return of the sibling that you hadn't heard from, back in the past. Maybe you've disconnected the line with your sibling and you haven't connected with each other in a while. So siblings can come back. Childhood friends can be the third house from elementary school, high school. People that you grew up with in the neighborhood can come back and make contact with you off of this lunation. And if they do, there's something very beautiful about it because it's going to be connected to the arms of Jupiter, right? Opening up for the moon as well. And there could be really good news, therefore, coming from these types of people that I've identified for you. Now, there is something about the third house that has to do with how you think. It's your mind. And I think is a good word for the third house. And Mercury is going back over something that has already happened. He's traveling to the past. He's been in Cancer since June the 1st. And so it could be things that began to open up in your life in June. And you might have to go back and think about what you want to create, particularly after June 12th. Things that are happening in your life, June the 12th, right to this lunation on June the 4th. June the 14th is a nice little space of, July the 14th. Did I say June? July the 14th. So June the 12th to July the 14th. I hope I didn't say June, but anyway, you know what I mean. It's a moon in July. Eek. There's going to be something important happening in that space of time. So that 1 month, mid-June to mid-July, what was happening in your life regarding ideas that you had, thoughts that you had that you wanted to maybe do something with them. And, Mercury does rule your house of creative, artistic, entrepreneurial, and business expression. So you may have some ideas that you've been pondering for a month, and now you might see that this moon is shining a kind of reset button beginning. You may choose to activate one of those ideas, right? Because it may be in alignment with a soul dream. So it could be a project, an entrepreneurial business, a writing project, a website, a course you want to teach, a course you want to study, a project you want to launch. Now, the energy of Jupiter is waiting for the moon to move into his arms, right? Fairy godfather in your fourth house. And your fourth house is a zone of what you can do to prosper in and from your home. A lot of Tauruses can have real estate luck and prosperity, including inheritance money over the next year with Jupiter down in your fourth house. But it's also where you can prosper in and from the home. And quite often, as Jupiter moves through your fourth house every 12 years, it's activities in and from the home base that create the prosperity, or you're buying and selling real estate. You'll have to go back, in time to do that. I put a video or two out about Jupiter moving through Leo, but it takes you back every 12 years, 14, 15. 2002, 3, etc. So use those repeat themes, but knowing that the moon is moving into the fourth house and it represents home in the house of home, some of you are moving. This moon will propel a relocation to a new town, a village, a city, a new neighborhood, a change of home. It's a new beginning and fresh start. And it will last, and moon is in her domicile, it will last up to 6 months after that you'll have a relocation, although some of you may move before that. Now, the last thing I want to say about this for you, if your parents have money, like they're holding on to property, land, or real estate, this can be a transmission of legacy wealth. Money from your family of origin may come to you within 6 months after this moon. I know a Taurus whose mom has put herself in hospice. She's getting ready to pass. And she will pass on resources to him. Not a lot, but some. So you're going to see how this will mean for some of you a transfer of legacy wealth from your family of origin within 6 months as well. All right, that's what I got for you. Let's get moving and row. And if you're looking for a new romantic love, maybe Mercury will try to bring someone from your past to you because this is his rulership belongs to your fifth house of romantic love partners. So he could, as this moon generates a current for your sky, bring you would know if an old love from the past coming back to you and wanting to reignite the relationship. That's what I'm saying. Someone you were romantically involved with may want to reignite the relationship. And if that's going to happen, that should happen by August the 6th. Okay. Coming off this lunation. All right. We're doing Gemini. Gemini sun, moon, and rising sign. The Gemini moon, the Cancer moon for Gemini is in your money house. It's your earnings, your resources, your savings, your pocketbook, your wallet. It's that money that you have in your possession. That money that you can generate and possess is having a new beginning and a fresh start. And it's, remember, the essence of the Sabian symbol brings to mind the dreams of one's soul and the divine feminine's ability to create what we imagine into being. And I think that this is good for you because I think that with Mercury retrograde, old ideas or old projects or old commercial enterprises from the past are trying to make a reappearance. I have a progressed Gemini sun, and years ago I taught a course called Rock Your Astrobiz, and I've been sitting around thinking I'd like to teach it again. I was going to teach that when I had, 16,000 followers on YouTube. This is 2022. I've learned so much about being a professional astrologer. I'd love to share with that with other astrologers. So that would be the example. In fact, I started thinking about doing that when Mercury headed retrograde on June the 29th. So it makes sense as an example. So ask yourself where a money-making proposition, deal, opportunity, idea from your past may want to generate a current of a restart and a brand new direction. It certainly can benefit your career with the North Node in the 10th house, trining this new moon by a whole sign. And at the same time, with Mercury ruling that 4th house, the new moon can be a possession of a property. You may have the opportunity to finance or possess a home. And with the South Node in the 4th house, you may be leaving one home behind, but it's not yesterday or today or the day of the moon. It's within 6 months after the moon to possess a home, to possess a new home, perhaps. Now, with the retrograde position, it's also somewhere you've lived before, right? To possess a home connected to your past. Maybe the same town, city, neighborhood, but there's something about that to consider. The arms of Jupiter are awaiting this lunation. She's going to jump into his arms in Leo, and he's visible still. Just slightly hard to see, but not entirely gone dark. And I feel like Jupiter will say, do you want an opportunity connected to finances, connected to writing, to teaching, to skills-based learning or teaching, to things to do with short distance travel or towns, cities, and neighborhoods, especially if some of you may possess a new home. The opportunity lies in a neighborhood or a town that you've lived in before, an area that you've lived in before. And Jupiter also says you want some luck in your online your online space, like your website, your social media platforms. He's there to expand those for you for the next year. You need more traction, more followers, more productivity, more wealth, more growth in your social media landscape for a whole year. And right now, as we see Mercury getting ready to activate, money-making endeavors from the past, think about online money-making endeavors from the past as well, that you might want to reignite and reinitiate. Now, siblings belong to the third house, just generally a sibling one younger specifically, and the sun is with the moon, which is a sibling one younger. So the sibling under you may have some very prosperous stories in their own life following this moon, or in conjunction with things that you and that sibling one younger than you might be up to, might be getting into together. All right. That's the story I see for you. With my progressed Gemini sun, I somewhat relate to this. So I'm hoping that some of what I said is true. And that's what we've got. All right. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising sign. I do hope I'm actually looking properly at you guys up there on a 4K camera instead of at my laptop all the time. Tech, the final frontier. All right. So Cancer, sun, moon, and rising. This is your lunation. I probably should have started with you anyway, because it is yours to behold, right? It is your thing. This is a lunation that is technically going to surprise you, because it's going to bring the past into the now. All of the signs will feel the past into the now. Well, I said surprise you. It may not actually surprise you, but it will delight perhaps who you are. If somebody from your past is coming back to you, right, and the Mercury's retrograding in your sign, look to people that have most likely connections to distant shores or far off lands, different cultures, or just far from where you live right now, but also connected to perhaps travel, also connected to people in the past that you might have associated with you knew them when you were young, high school. You knew them when you were in elementary school. You knew them when you used to live in a different city or town. You knew them in connection with your sibling relationships. And a sibling from the past as well can come back and surprise you underneath this sky. So meaning that you haven't heard from that sibling for a long time, and then there's now new doors of communication opening up. You can change your mind when Mercury's retrograde. He's been retrograding since June 29th and will be till July 23rd. So you're going to readdress, rethink, and revise things. And this moon is baking in a kind of a retrospective time. You know how you have a past life review, a life review when you're a near-death experiencer. It's like you might be going through a life review right now. And you're kind of looking back instead of forward at things you've done, people you've known, jobs you've had, situations you've gone through, romantic partners you've been through. There's kind of a retrospective look right now that you're engaging in mentally. and maybe emotionally. And that's going to end anyway around the third week of July, certainly by August 6th, post shadow, or August 9th, yes, 6th. So keep that in mind. You're very focused backwards right now, most of you. Your ideas, your thoughts, you're ruminating, taking your time. You might be ruminating about things that began mid-June anyway, or even the beginning of June. But then the moon brings a new beginning. It asks you to find your deepest soul dreams and bring them into true reality. What does that look like for you? And the moon is also connecting to the arms of Jupiter, where the moon will drop in right after the actual new moon happens within hours. And therefore, you're probably going to find that there's also prosperity here. Jupiter in the second house is the money god, the Hail Mary pass. He's like the king quarterback that wins every time he's the Magic Johnson, jump the hoop and make the ball happen into the hoop in your money house. I always call him the Hail Mary pass if you're born with him in your money house. But if you need a bit of money and he's here for a year, you'll get more than a bit of money. You'll say, I just need like a couple $100 to make my rent this month. And he says, oh, forget the couple hundred, I'll give you an extra grand. So you're going to be lucky in money for a year. But the thing is, this moon is connected to that as well. So when this moon is new and it's fresh in your sign, and then the moon lands into your money house with Jupiter right away, I think you're going to find that one of the themes that unfolds over the 6 months is more money for you, more prosperity, more wealth coming in some way, somehow, right? Some way, somehow. And because there's a rulership of Mercury to your siblings, sometimes it can be that your siblings involve money stories, that money and siblings are intertwined in some way. And you can also make more money in the social media landscape, the online world, and the digital income revenue streams as well. So this is good for you guys. And if you're a writer and you want to write a book, this is also great for getting a book written, edited, published, agented in the next 6 months, and prospering from it and feeling lucky in that. Okay. So I wish you the very best with this moon. Let me know how it goes. What do you think? Does that resonate with you at this point? And can you like and subscribe? Thank you. Hey, Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. Having the new beginning, fresh start, dream your soul dreams into being, find that transcendent happiness. It is in a spiritual house. It is in the most spiritual place in your chart. It is the place where you will find your spiritual awakening. If you want to know what a spiritual awakening is, it's when you disidentify from the egoic structures and recognize that you are everything. And that is a possibility for some Leos looking for that in their life. Because this is a deeply interior house, it's your dreams at night, it's your solitude, alone, and contemplative time. I encourage you to spend some time meditating, journaling, dream journaling as this moon approaches and as this moon is happening and in the week or two after the moon. There are potentially important insights and downloads that you're able to connect to because of this. The moon is with a retrograde Mercury. People from your past may reach out to you only if they're in distant shores or foreign lands or maybe some place that's far from where you are now. It doesn't have to be another country. The 12th house can be like, I live in LA and there's New York on the other side. And that kind of place, that kind of distance is there as well. And so people who are not close to you geographically, who may not have been in touch, may reach out by phone, text, and email, coming off this lunation itself. If you're somebody who has anything you wish to create as a financial project, that you want to create some, project that leads to more money in your life, then there may be a new idea that comes to you on this moon. But it's not entirely brand new. I mean, the retrograde means you've thought about it before, but maybe it never got any traction. It never got off the ground. Not very many of you will have this happen, but a very few may receive an inheritance money coming off this moon from an elder who may be unwell in your family of origin. That can happen within 6 months of the lunation. If you have a hard time with your diet, if you ingest foods that are bad for you, if you have a misuse substance disorder kind of thing, disorder, this is a new beginning and a fresh start. And it can help you let go, release, and surrender pleasures that are bad for your health that you take in through your mouth or nose. And this will be a nice time to begin anew. And because Jupiter is waiting for this moon to receive that Jupiterian fairy godfather embrace. So there's something like the guru is helping you overcome those problems. The deepest spiritual wisdom of the universe is available for you to let go, let God, and surrender that bad habit, addiction, or path of self-sabotage that you've been using in your life. And lastly, you are lucky. You are lucky for a whole year. Jupiter is in your sign. Be careful as you're a female, especially, but even a male, for pregnancy, because this can produce children. Jupiter rules your house of conception and the house of children. Don't be careful if you want to have a baby, only if you don't want to have a baby. And maybe if you are past the age of having children, your children can have children under the sky in the next year. But the moon could be coming into Jupiter, a real awakening of a time of prosperity, trust, generosity, magnanimousness, and a potential fertility story. And it can take up to a year for that. No, well, up to 6 months for that to be true. All right. So to notice, by the way, I'm pregnant or my kids are having a baby. They just told me like 3 months after this moon that they're pregnant or their partner's pregnant. So look for that story. You've got the fairy godfather in your sign. Make a wish. Use this moon to make a wish and go deep. Don't stay on the surface. Find what will bring you intrinsic joy that's not connected to outer circumstances in your life. Make that wish. Don't wish for the car. The car will break down. Don't wish for the money. The money will degrade, maybe devalue. Wish for circumstances that are intrinsically going to bring joy, that you know they'll bring joy no matter what, right? You have to imagine that, or just ask, what will bring me great joy that's implacable, ever present, and undisturbable, right? And wish for that. This is a wish fulfillment moon for the Leo sun, moon, and rising in particular. All right, Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. There is a new beginning and a fresh start on a beautiful moon of soul dreams come true and joy and peace of happiness at a deeper transcendent level. In where? You're in your house of your dreams, in the house of your wishes, in the house of what it is you wish to imagine your life could look like. The 11th house is like the forward-looking house. It is looking for what's next, right? It's moving into the top of the sky and it's going to be the next top dog in terms of the way the world works here. So you're like dreams that you have for your life that are not just your 4-year financial plan or your 10-year career plan, but the deepest wistful wishings that you have belong to the 11th house. And the new moon is about those soul dreams that maybe can come true. And because of the Sabian symbol in the intro. And the energy of Mercury here is interesting because he is the messenger of the gods. And he is in a house of people that are your friends, your social circle, the benefactors and allies of your life, also connected as well in the 11th house to a sibling one older than you. These are the people that can be very wistfully, wonderfully supporting you to actualize your dreams. And with Mercury retrograde, connection to these people, especially from the past. Imagine you are like out of touch with one of your dearest friends. They may call you, phone you, reach out. Mercury's retrograde till the July 23rd. This moon opens up that door of contact. Now, one thing about this particular placement, it can relate to your career gains, and that means the gains of the 10th house. And those are how your professional advancement and successes lead to rewards. They can be monetary. They can be awards and celebrity. They can be being, move to a better perk or office space in your business or company, but you're going to have a new beginning here. So what do you want to happen in your work? What do you want to happen? What's the vision of your highest ideal? Because, Mars Uranus in your 10th house could say you're getting ready to cut out, but it could be a sudden change of stature within your company, within your job, within your professional advancement. If you have people you know that have your back and you want help from them, you need to ask. And this is like those friends that will never say no because they love you no matter what. This is like the big bro, big sis vibe in your 11th. So those kinds of friends, this is a good time to ask for favors. This one can open up incredible success if you just ask, right? There's a book called Just Ask or The Big Ask, or maybe it was called Ask. Anyway, it's important to ask. If you don't ask, nobody knows you need help. All right. Windfalls, pennies from heaven. Yes, that's what this house can be. Do you have an old lottery ticket under your sofa that you forgot to scan? Look around. Mercury is the ballot from the past, right? The ticket from the past. And so you never know, right? Because Mercury is your ruler. When Venus is with you and your sign, the money goddess right now, could you possibly have some windfalls? Could some luck come your way? The difficult part of this as well is that Jupiter says legacy wealth. Jupiter is where the moon goes into the arms of the, Jupiter in the house of hospitals, ruler of the fourth house of parents, parents. I heard that. I did a really weird whistle sound, but there's nothing wrong with my teeth. And I think that you need to consider that too. Now, I don't mean like on the new moon, the day of the moon, you're going to suddenly get, an inheritance. It means that within the 6 months that follows the moon, you may come into some money from your family of origin or from your in-laws. Both can happen. All right. And especially with Saturn in the 8th house, this is an elder person. This is not a young, tragic situation, right? Elder grandparent or parent or something like that. And so I'm just getting you ready for the possibility. Sometimes it can also be money coming from spousal support agreements, but this looks more legacy wealth. Unless a spousal support agreement leads you to receive a chunk of land, then maybe that could happen too. And you've got about 6 months for that to occur, because every new moon is a 6-month rollout, as I always say to you guys every time. Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. It is the story of a career lunation. Every year you get a new moon in the 10th house. But this is a soul dreams. Oh, you're retired. You always ask me, what are your visible actions in the world? What do you do that you consider like you want people to acknowledge you're doing them, like your golf score? I don't know, your game of bocce or whatever. What is it you're doing in the world that you want people to acknowledge you for? That's all I'm saying. Then if you're in a career, then you want success professionally as a part of your social standing success story. It's like, look at me, guys. Look how well I'm doing up here at the top of the sky. High noon, you all can witness me doing stuff. Your actions are visible in the world. So all you retirees, consider that. So most of us, it's our career. We call it our career success and purpose success. And in this regard, you got a new beginning, fresh start. End of story. And your dreams, soul dreams can come true. And you might find sort of a causeless joy in the career path. But Mercury's retrograde and hooked up to the moon. People, places, businesses, bosses, colleagues, and job career opportunities and job professional paths behind you are connected. So there could be someone from your professional sphere connected to your past that returns and emails, phone calls, or texts you after this moon, during, beginning, before, and after the moon, up to at least early August. But there may be ideas or practices or projects from your career in the past that are returning as well. Mercury rules like things to do with far off shores and lands. And by the way, Venus, South Node, the past, and asteroid America, particularly America or North American career opportunities, connected to your past, may be making a return. And it could also look like your career past behind you and what may reemerge can connect to career paths that have to do with digital income and borderless revenue. If you market, sell, promote, do anything like at a distance, Zoom calls, phone calls, online world, and if your customers are international, then yes, this moon gives you a fresh start. It can make some dreams come true, but it also has a retrograde part of it. So you might go back to a company you've worked before, as I said, or something about the past returns to the now in the work you're about to do. And that's true over the 6 months that follows this particular moon. The moon is going to jump into the arms of Jupiter, praise God, and move into your 11th house of good spirit. And this is Jupiter's joy house in the ancient world. So we have a very strong, still slightly visible, joyful Jupiter. Now, I mean, he's tightly, going invisible, but he's not entirely dark yet, right? He's about 11 degrees, 12 degrees from the sun. So you're going to find that there's some illumination of opportunity coming from the house of windfalls, friends, allies, and benefactors, and the career gains itself. All I can say is it looks like a new beginning professionally. That's a golden opportunity, like a fairy godfather dropped a wish come true on your head. And it, like another sign I talked about, Cancers, I think it was Cancer, it's a wish fulfillment moon. It is already that with the Sabian symbol, and it's even more deeply that with Jupiter in the house of wish fulfillment. Desire, what it is you desire in your life. What do you want to bring into being? Use your imagination and think big. This for you is go big or go home. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Think big. Sky's the limit. Don't dream small, right? Rumi, you're the universe in ecstatic motion, right? Don't play small. You're the universe in ecstatic motion. This is your message. So think big, but think joy, think pleasure, think having fun, think gratitude in what you're trying to create. All right. It's not grindy. It's meant to be expansive and generous and magnanimous career success. All right. Thank you for listening. And hopefully that works to make you happier. I am looking at Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising, and you have a fresh new moon in your 9th house. This is an important house. It's a luck house in the Lakshmi way of wealth and knowledge and prosperity, and wealth and prosperity. It's a good house for moving into a purpose. And our purpose isn't always our job, right? There's two separate parts of life, and our purpose is never just one thing. It can change. But moving into purpose here, or alignment with your dharmic path, is one thing this moon can help you dream into being. It is trine in a wholesome way to the North Node in the house of children, and it's in the house of grandchildren. And it may involve a new beginning with one of your grandchildren, the beginning of becoming a grandparent or a parent. And in fact, this is the house of childbirth. And so there's a lot about those themes that come through for Scorpios at this time. But you can give birth to a publishing project. You can give birth to a career ambition. You can give birth. So there's a vibration of generative womb-like energy. So use your imagination. What do you want to birth into being? Virgo is the place that Mercury rules, and he's also retrograde. So there's a lot going on about the past here, because you may be pondering your dreams or goals and desires connected to the past about how you imagined your life would look, especially if you thought you'd always use a natural talent or gift. You always thought, oh my God, there's no way I'm not going to be a musician, an actor, a painter, a mad scientist, whatever you thought your talents were. Right? There's a renewal here. If you're a Scorpio and you've never really gotten that book published or that acting gig or whatever those things are you always wanted, I kind of like this moon on you for that in the next 6 months after this moon is in play. People from the past that are guides, advisors, mentors, coaches, preachers, pastors, these are hand of the king type 9th house folk, can come back, and a sibling too older or 4 younger than you may return to your life under this lunation. If they've been absent in any way, you may hear from them. You can use this moon, if you want, you can use this moon to seed a new career path, because Jupiter has entered for 1 year at your 10th house. And the 9th house is like the precursor before a plane takes off. It's like the runway or something. It's like, it's very preparatory energy. And it's possible that you might find yourself doing some new career path that brings a lot of pleasure and joy, satisfaction, prosperity, power, and wealth to you, Jupiter, right? So I want you to consider that if there's some path that you've been on and you just don't think it's your path and you're just tired of what you've been doing in the professional sphere, yay you. Jupiter can just increase your success in what you're already doing. He rules your house of children. There may be, and Jupiter represents children. So your reputation may be connected to your children in some fundamental way. Maybe you're going to start a business with your kid. Maybe you're going to have a kid and now everyone sees you as a parent. There's that. And this new moon is also aligning you with purpose. So sometimes our purpose is to be a parent. Sometimes our purpose is not to kick ass in the jobs front. we'll see, right? You have to flow with it. If you wanted to publish a book and you've been trying to get that thing going, because Mercury is the ruler of the writing sign of Virgo, there's a potential for some success here. And you might get a book agent, you might get a book accepted with a publisher, you might get a book published within the 6 months that follows this moon. This is good for those of you for whom that makes a bit of sense, all right? And there's a strong emphasis on moving into alignment, making money and working in some professional path that is purposeful and meaningful. But because Mercury's retrograde, look to things that you've ambitioned into in the past. Like you've done that job or you've considered that job or that career path has called you before. Maybe it's going to call you again. Within the next 6 months, you may be stepping into something brand new. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. New beginnings and fresh starts. New moons are always that. This new moon will be here in your 8th house on July 14th. I know the moon has moved into Jupiter's arms, but the moon's moving quickly. And the moon is going to set you up for chunks of money. I always call it chunky money, but it's just unearned income. You're not making it in your daily paycheck. It could come with a shared resource situation, like shared monies with a spouse, an inheritance. It can come through money that you might get from an investment payoff or royalty income, passive income, commission income. And this is new, this is fresh, and this is wonderful. And because it's aligned with your soul, this is the dreams of your soul. Ask yourself, if money was to come to you in that way, in what ways would you be able to use it in terms of long goals and dreams that you've held and cherished for a long time? Mercury's retrograde with this moon. He's bringing the past to the now. What kind of past financial opportunities have been behind you that you could seize now? What kind of financial situations, deals, business partnerships, or even like accountants and financial advisors have you had in the past that may be returning to you now, wanting to make contact with you now? And if so, maybe you should listen, because this is a moon that will go into the arms of Jupiter. And Jupiter means abundance. If you have to redo your taxes under this, which wouldn't surprise me, it brings you more prosperity and abundance as a result. The moon wants something new in a very deep spiritual place, because this is the deep spiritual liberation that you're capable of from your egoic identity that awakens you to your true self. And if you want that kind of understanding of true nature, this is a moon that's trying to bring it, because Mercury is the messenger. Now, you can get literal, like dead people talking to you in dreams, or you could have messages from the great beyond or your spirit guides under this moon. But more importantly, it could also open your spiritual life dramatically, because Guru Jupiter is waiting for this moon on the other side. And that could actually mean you're going to join an ashram or a guru or meet a guru or learn a body of knowledge, maybe a book, a teaching around the moon. So pay attention to being directed towards certain teachers and teachings or books that can bring spiritual knowledge and wisdom to you. This moon is trying to do that. It could be something as simple as a book like The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, or The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People if you need that kind of guidance. But a kind of an advisory spiritual book or body of knowledge or teacher will likely try to make an entrance into your life on the moon, around the moon, after the moon. If you have past teachers and teachings you've abandoned, those can come back as well with the retrograde part of the story. You want to sign a deal for royalty income because you have a book publishing project? This is your deal. You want to set up Substack with paid subscribers? This is your chance. These are ways that this could work as well. All right, birth of a grandchild can happen, but Mercury is retrograde, so it's kind of wait for him to go direct, because you're going to have a past grandchild be born again. So sometime after August the 6th, this moon could bring you news that you're going to be a grandparent. Okay, after August 9th especially, but it may have been hidden from your view. The 8th house is hidden from your view because, your kid or his wife or husband or whatever, no one's telling anybody until the 3-month window is up. So if you suspect one of your kids is pregnant or their partner pregnant, but you're not know for sure, I would think this moon could generate by mid-August knowledge that you are going to become a grandparent. So good luck with that. I hope you enjoy that possibility. Mercury rules your career house. So again, that money wants to come here, chunks of money from career ambition and direction. There's that. Or lastly, a legal court settlement can favor you financially coming off this moon and the months that follow. Look for that deeper soul dream and deeper yearning, however, especially to align yourself with your truer purpose in life and acknowledge that you are not a body. You are a spirit playing in matter, and that includes the body. That's the gist of this vibe for you guys. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising. We're getting to the finish line. The last three signs, Cappy, sun, moon, and rising. Cancer is your marriage house. Cancer is your business partners. Cancer is anyone significant in your life. It can be your audience, marketplace, clients, and fans, if that makes sense to you. And that house is new and beginning and fresh energy. But with the Mercury retrograde connected to the past. Typically, when Mercury's retrograde in the seventh house, you're going to hear from former long-term committed love partners, those monogamous, live-in, deeply long-term or marital relationship partners will be back in touch. They will be in touch with you. You won't be in touch with them. So look for those people. They may have already started on June the 29th and through to July 23rd, but this moon wants you to do something with that. Now, a new moon is a new beginning, and you may consider a fresh start in your relationship with them. This also can be money owed to a partner with Jupiter in the house of spousal separation support money. And so you may find yourself in a situation where you're revising the spousal support agreements in a relationship that has ended. A sibling that may be 3 younger or 3 older than you belongs to the seventh house. Mercury is communication about things from the past from that sibling. And they may be about money, especially inheritance money. So like say you had a breakup, say you had an inheritance shared with a sibling in the past, right? From the parental stuff. Well, this is coming back for some reason as a matter of connection, communication, or discussion. It favors you on the financial front because as Mercury is connected to the moon on the soul dreams come true energy, Mercury also then moves into the arms of Jupiter in the house to give me some chunky money. And you're going to have some chunky money in the next year. It could be legacy wealth, inheritances, spousal support money, but it can also be money from many different areas of life. You can come into more chunks of money in the next year, says the sky. And the moon moving into the fairy godfather's arms right after the lunation on the 14th. You can see it's still active, right? We're on the 14th and there's the moon jumping into Jupiter's arms the same day. It's a very lucky day. And it can bring you already some news of more money coming to you. Mercury is ruling Venus, and she's in the house of a wealth house, a Lakshmi luck house. And Venus is ruling the house of good fortune, which can bring money wins. And so some of you Cappies could win some money or feel like you won money. Something good on the financial front happens close to this lunation. But also the 6 months ahead vibrationally open it up as well. Look for more financial security, financial luck, openings of opportunities for money in ways that don't require you to hustle in the workforce necessarily. The last thing is if you had a business partnership from the past or a business deal or agreement, and maybe it didn't work out, or maybe it fell apart, or maybe it just ended, you're a consultant or something. It's a second wave. It's a return, and not part 2. Here it comes again. So look for the moon to open up a new beginning with old partnerships and old business opportunities from your past. That includes it, being a consultant or entrepreneur, but getting an opportunity connected to things you've done before as a consultant, as an entrepreneur as well. All right. Thanks, Capricorn, for listening. Hoping that makes a lot of sense for you. That's what I got. Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. I am one of you. I'm a rising, and I am excited because this is a big, beautiful lunation in a health place and a workplace, an employment, employee, employer place, the 6th house, pets and dogs and kitty cats and more. I want a pet, so I'm excited because a new moon is a new beginning, and a pet would be fabuloso. I need an animal. I love my dogs, and I've been dog free since 2016. So having a pet, for example, if you don't have one, a new beginning, or you need to want another one, yeah, sure, the moon could bring that. The retrograde part of this moon, though, brings things from the past to the now. And there may be there may be professional opportunities connected to money and work related to either past projects, past ideas, past places to work, past bosses, past colleagues, and even past employees. And so all this energy is about the past becoming now, and the moon shows you the light of some new beginning from the past. If you lost a beloved pet, this is a reincarnation of a pet based on the 8th house story going on. A beloved 8th house pet is coming back again as a new animal. And the other way of looking at this for health matters is the sun tends to represent one's vitality. Cancer is a digestive system, gut health, sometimes mammary glands as well. And there's a energy of a new beginning and a fresh start, and particularly with the North Node in your second house, about dietary habits and changes to the way you eat. What do you eat that you shouldn't be eating? What do you ingest that's not good for your gut? That's where I see the big change for most of you. And it's very remedy wise, remedial energy, right? It's like easy for you to step into that new path of food and dietary nutrition or something like that. And yet you're using techniques from the past. I'll use me as an example. I used to be a strict paleo, like I never deviated. Then I got sloppy over the years, and I had a Hashimoto's flare based on my move stress in May and teaching a 5-week class. And I have to go back. I have to go back to what I've done. I also have done autoimmune protocol diet, which I'm going to go back and do as well. This is just going to give me the strength and power mid-July to do it, right? To go back to the old dietary path that made me healthy before. Now, because Mercury is going to, first of all, he rules your 8th house of chunky money, not too shabby, as well as he rules your 5th house of good fortune where you can win money. And with Venus in the house of chunky money, you could win money. But if you do, it's like karmic debt repayment plan, right? You've done so much generous goodness and charity and goodness in the past. Now it's your reward cycle that kicks in. And especially because Jupiter rules your karmic rewards and windfalls 11th house. And Mercury will jump into Jupiter's arms. So you could become quite successful in a financial flare of good chunks of money on this new moon on the 14th. And you also, the money could come from a Jupiter 7th house place because Mercury will really quickly jump into, the moon will really quickly jump into Jupiter's arms. So you could have shared prosperity, or prosperity through Jupiter would be a wealthy person, a generous person, a well-known person, or a spouse or a long-term love partner, and more wealth generated off this lunation. And that could take up to 6 months to show you that to be true. If you work in a way that you have to reach out to audience, marketplace, customers, and clients, or you're engaging in a new business partnership initiative, new moon in the workhouse, then the output picture with the Jupiter placement here is prosperity. But it's a new beginning in how you work. You hired a new employee, you move to a business partnership structure, things like that, right? So then we go into, okay, let's generate a lot more abundance in the next 6 months. That's what the moon would tell you to do. But remember to dream more deeply, the soul dream, and find that transcendent happiness in the work you do. Because if you're not joyfully working at whatever you do, then this is not what this moon wants. This moon wants you to find a state of, these are my soul dreams. I'm enjoying my ride in my work. And with that, you are allowed to prosper. If you're begrudgingly working at something that is prospering but depleting you vitality wise, it will not last. This moon is asking for a deeper investigation of your joy factor in the work field itself, so you don't feel like a slave to your work, which is a good lesson for content creators everywhere, including me. How can you find the balance point? I was going to do 3 videos today. I just thought I'm just doing this one, maybe, right? Maybe a short one to go with it. I'm going to enjoy the ride and really spend time wanting to share the information rather than rushing through it on like a 3 video timetable. That's an example, right? Like, why not enjoy this? All right. Last but not least, best and always best. You are the mystic poets of the zodiac. You're a Pisces, and you are in a condition of enjoying this ride. This new moon trined you. This new moon is a soul dream come true in the house of good fortune, your 5th house. Now, on a practical note, it's also a house of your natural talents and gifts that you were born to express. It's your children. A new moon is a conception moon. And Jupiter is waiting for the jumping of the moon into his arms, and he represents children. So children having children wouldn't surprise me. I think a lot of you might find out that you're going to have a grandparenting status coming off of this. If you're young enough, though, you could also produce a child under this lunation. So that's to be noted and considered. But you can plant seeds of conceiving a new business, new project, a new book, a new artistic endeavor. And Mercury's retrograde. So what about the past? Did you try to launch a business and it didn't take off? Did you try to get an entrepreneurial or creative project to work and it didn't happen? Or are creative projects being rebooted from your past? Are creative opportunities as an artist or as an entrepreneur returning from the past? Are children from the past getting back in touch with you? And are you possibly hearing from a sibling too younger than you? And that retrograde possibility started the people from the past, June 29th through to July 23rd. If someone gets back in touch with you near or on the moon, it's a seed of something new. It's an important beginning. Now, of course, the fifth house is what we call our romance house. And we have Venus South Node in the house of commitment. There's a lot about this chart that could suggest a former committed love story that maybe had been surrendered is returning. And this would be someone you were either dating or that you didn't marry anyway. And maybe you were committed, but the level of commitment could have still been fifth house. Fifth house commitment is like, you could be with someone for 4 years and still not really committed. It's still in the flirty, fun, dating, sex, romance phase. And I think that this is saying that that kind of person from your past could return with an email, phone call, new beginning, new moon. Now, the new moon says it's not returning to hash out the past and blame you for something or you to blame them. It could return for another go at it. Let's take a second stab at it, says the sky. And I normally, like Minopon says, don't go back. You can never go back. But I don't think that's necessarily true. This sky could support a return of an old relationship for a renewal. They could really do that. When the moon jumps into Jupiter's arms, it could be good for your money. And it could be good for your money connected to debts owed to you or your debt restructuring program. If you want to like take out a credit card debt and like remove it somehow, cancel it out, remove debt from your life. Any kind of debt. Mercury's ruling a couple of things here. So the debt could be involving spousal support debt. It could be involving debt connected to spousal relationships and alimonies and stuff. It also could be removing a debt or having a debt relief moment from a sibling. Mercury rules the sibling 3 younger and 3 older than you. And so there may be a debt repayment, restructuring, or potentially favoring you with that sibling. Especially if it involved family money and inheritance. This was Mercury rules your 4th house, right? So now you could rebalance those scales in some way. Jupiter rules Jupiter means more than one in the house of pets. Sorry about that. I don't have my noise suppression on because I'm having a hard time getting the volume proper on this mic. So I don't know if you hear the sirens. This is way quieter than my last neighborhood, guys. But anyway, the last thing I want to say about that is like, there was something I had in my mind before the sirens. You can definitely look at this as a very lucky moon. I forgot to say that because Mercury is like the ticket, the ballot, right, in a house of betting, gambling, gaming, speculation, and risk. So it's not a bad moon to play a ticket, to play a game of chance, right? But if you're going to do that game of chance with Mercury retrograde, you've done this one before, it's familiar to you, or you find an old ticket and it's sitting around under your bed or in your covers or, in a drawer and it's still valid and you played it, you could win. Luck from the past returns in the house of good fortune. And good fortune connected to a significant partner in your life, love, or business as well may emerge under this moon. And Jupiter could bring you a new job opportunity that feels really lucky, but it's connected to someone from your past. And the moon will show you the opportunity. That person from your past would bring you opportunity in livelihood and also connected to career success. So if you've been looking for a job or looking for a new direction financially, then this could open up a new job or professional opportunity, not just on the day of the moon, of course, but within 6 months. Lastly, you could move. Mercury rules your 4th house, Mars and Uranus. Sudden opportunity to move for a job opportunity, for a rental property opportunity, especially because Jupiter or a relationship and a rental property. Jupiter says, let's rent something opulent, big, and beautiful. But we have the good fortune that allows us to rent something. And so you might be moving into a luxury opportunity for a rental and a geographical change of home within 6 months after this lunation. I'd say buy a lottery ticket around to July 14th up to the, until Mercury leaves your fifth house, right? Which is August the 9th. Is a good time to play the lottery, is what I'm trying to say. But know your limit, play within it. That's what we say in Canada. That's our motto. Because definitely it's not about like spending thousands of dollars on tickets. It's just that one ticket it takes to win. I'm not encouraging gambling. All right. In our outro today for the video I just recorded on the Cancer new moon, we are talking Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde is not what you think it is. Sure, he seems to be going backwards from our visual standpoint on Earth. We imagine that it looks like he's actually stopped and then gone back the other way. Sure, what does it mean? It means he's going back to the past. So things from our past come back to us. But he's also really close to Earth, and he is the synchronicity maestro. When we feel those meaningful coincidences and strange things happening in our lives, that's the mercurial impact on reality. And so we'll often see uncanny ways in which the past returns to us that just blow our mind. And it's so unusually predictable that we get to rely on it, but it also makes me, anyway, feel a lot of wonder and a lot of awe. So I'm going to give you some recent examples from my own life and people I know, because I want you to be inspired. Mercury is retrograde from June 29th until July 23rd, 2026. In the sign of Cancer. He's retrograding and also joining the sun in the heart of the sun in the same places that he did it more or less, the same way he did it more or less in July of 2019 and July of 2020. He does this kind of thing every 6 to 7 years. And so it may remind you of back then as well. For example, in July of 2019 and 2020, what kinds of things were you up to that looks like they may be repeating a path in Cancer? If I use me as an example, I was actually moving both of those times. Yes, because I'm an Aries sun and moon, and then the fourth house is Cancer. In 2019, I was thinking I had to move in that summer because my landlord was going to sell the property. We didn't move. I didn't move because she didn't sell it, but she put it back on the market in the fall. And then by the midway through 2020, I had relocated a property. So there's things that are like germinating, can rinse and repeat. Now, when Mercury is retrograde, he is like the maestro's synchronicity, and he does bring us the magical return of the past in the whole sign Cancer part of our chart. And this, as I said, I hope I said, is happening between June the 29th and July 23rd of 2026. And I'm recording this for you on July the 6th. I'm going to give some fun examples. Really weird. So a friend of mine has a terrible habit, I think, of deleting every photo from his iPhone, but he also stopped using the iCloud in 2021 or so. And this is a retrograde cycle of Mercury that takes you back, of course, to 2019 and 20 and summers, but just the whole year, really. And what happened was that he had a relationship or two back then that came back from the past. Now, did the person phone or email or call him and say during this retrograde cycle, June 29th to the 23rd, like, hello, how are you doing? No. Instead, they returned to the past because his iPhone synced back up with the cloud accidentally and returned those photos to his camera. It was so weird to even hear that he got this strange notification from somebody with the very same name as the person he was with within 24 hours of that resync on a notification that made no sense to him about a platform he had no real involvement in. And so that name even popped out of his phone out of the blue. And that's somebody he has not been in relationship with since 2022. So there's ways that but began that relationship in 2020 and then one before that in 2019. And both of those people came flooding back in his photos. Now, I've also had some really cool, I love my synchronicities. I'm a synchronicity junkie. I've had some really cool synchronicities connected to the past. Way back in the past, not to do with 2019 and 20, but I think it would have been fall of 2024. I had a little list of people I wanted to, whose channels I wanted to guest spot. One of them was Emilio Ortez, and one of them was Amrit Sandhu. Amrit Sandhu is Inspired Evolution. And I put that on my list, and there were about 3 other people. And actually 2 of them I wouldn't want to be on their channel now anyway, but for reasons I'm not going to go into. And But these were dreams, wishes, jotted down on pieces of paper, which are good ways to make dreams come true, by the way. That's why I write my goals down. And then, as Mercury stationed retrograde in my house of work from my Aquarius rising, that's my Cancer house of job and work. As this was occurring during this retrograde cycle, Amrit, Sandhu, and Amelia Ortez got in touch with me to record videos with them for their channels. And what you see in this regard is the past returning to the now. I'd love to hear in the comments after this is an outro section about some of your own synchronicities and some of your own ways in which Mercury retrograde has been playing out in the Cancer whole sign house. For each sign, it's going to be a different meaning, of course. And so you're going to find that if you were a Cancer rising, you know, the maestro synchronicity and the backpedaling is happening in your own sign. You might be the one reaching out to people from your past. So I want to know, how has it been going? And how have you been finding these synchronicities so far? And generally, even without the idea of Mercury retrograde bringing the past back to you, enormously powerful, magical, meaningful coincidences, which are synchronicities, will happen. So it's a great time to say, you know, I'm going to follow the kisses from God, the breadcrumbs of the divine. I'm going to listen to the messages, and I'm going to follow the omens, the signs, and the portents. So use this energy of Mercury retrograde to tune into your own divine inner knowing and go in the direction that the universe is trying to tell you, go this way. So listen for those interesting ways that you're thinking about, I want to take a trip to Bali, and all of a sudden, like, a friend calls you and says, oh my God, I had the best trip to Bali last year. And you're like, why are you telling me this now? You'll get the signs you need, you know? Years ago, I was asking myself, should I take this trip to Bali? It was 2017. It was for a business coaching trip, and it was going to be quite expensive. And as I was considering whether I should do that, I asked for signs. I needed 24 hours of signs to make a decision to go or not go. And I got 3 Bali synchronicities within 24 hours. I'm in a like a lawyer's office, or like a notary public with a person I knew, and me and the guy and the notary's got a big map behind him. And that morning, and my ex-husband, who I was there with, who were selling a property, says, oh my God, look at that, you've been to Bali. And he's pointing to this notary's big map with pins in every place he stayed. I didn't even notice it. I'm half blind. I'm like, oh my God, Bali. Then I get a text message from an ex-boyfriend of all things, with whom I went to Bali way back in 2004. And he says, oh my God, Bella, I've got these pictures of Bali and us. Take a look. That's Bali number 2. Bali number 3 was a billboard. I'm just telling you, you're going to get these synchronicities that tell you yay or nay during the retrograde. They're going to end by the 23rd of the month, and so of July. So use them or lose them. Right. The next retrograde isn't until he's in the sign of Scorpio this fall. So you want to use these retrogrades to ply the trade of alignment with divine will, alignment with your higher spiritual path, to move yourself in the direction. So if you ask for signs, you'll get them. But if you don't ask, you're still getting them. You're just probably not paying attention because we're so distracted by our phones and our TVs, our Netflix binges and our all the chatter in the news cycle. Tune into the synchronicities. That's all I'm saying. Let me know how it goes. Let me know in the comments, if you listen to this outro, how your synchronicities have been going. I love when people tell me their synchronicity stories. I totally love it. If you want to email me a synchronicity story, I'd love to hear from you as well. And you could probably best reach me at you can reach me best at lunaticastrology@gmail. If you really have a story you want to share, I actually read that email box somewhat regularly. Lunaticastrology@gmail.com, headline synchronicity story. And I'll tell your story on my channel, okay? Headline synchronicity story. I'll tell your story if you have a good one. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys in the next video. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Lunatic astrology.